Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're taking a look at a movie that has it all. A wild, heavenly premise, a totally stacked cast, and a behind-the-scenes story that's almost crazier than the plot itself. We're talking about Aziz Ansari's directorial debut, Good Fortune, a comedy where an angel's grand plan goes, well, hilariously wrong.
So first up, let's get into what got everyone talking about Good Fortune to begin with. It's this really high concept premise that managed to pull in some serious star power.
And wow, what a cast it is, right? You've got Keanu Reeves and Seth Rogan right at the top, and they're joined by the amazing Keke Palmer, Sandra Oh, and of course, the writer-director himself, Aziz Ansari. This is just a powerhouse group, and you can already imagine the kind of comedy you're gonna get. You've got Keanu's super deadpan thing mixed with Seth Rogen's classic, frustrated everyman vibe.
So the core idea here is, it's a classic body swap comedy, but with this really fun, divine twist. You've got Keanu Reeves playing Gabriel, who's an angel, but he's like a well-meaning but totally clueless angel who decides he's gonna meddle in human affairs to teach everyone a lesson about happiness.
But here's where the story gets super clever. The angel's big lesson, the whole money can't buy happiness thing, it just completely backfires, spectacularly. Aziz Ansari's character pretty much immediately realizes that, actually, being rich is awesome, and it solves basically all of his problems. It's a really sharp, funny take on that old saying, especially today, with the gig economy and rent being what it is. So this central conflict, this whole swap, really drives the movie's biggest questions about wealth, work, and, what it even means to find meaning in today's world. The movie really sets up these two total extremes. On one side, you've got Arj, played by Ansari, who's basically living out of his car, juggling a bunch of gig jobs. Then on the other side, you've got Seth Rogen's character, Jeff, a venture capitalist in a mansion so ridiculous it has its own disco. The comedy just comes from that insane gap between them and seeing how fast Arj gets used to being rich, while Jeff's life just completely falls apart without money. Yeah, and as the official synopsis lays out, this messed up life swap forces everyone to rethink everything. Arj is like, nope, I'm not switching back. Jeff is suddenly broke, and Gabriel the angel, he even loses his wings. So now all three of them are just stuck on Earth, having to figure stuff out like regular people. Okay, but the on-screen drama is really only half the story here. The production was almost completely derailed by a real-life disaster that happened when cameras weren't even rolling. Talk about irony. A moment of some seriously bad fortune while making a movie called Good Fortune. So here's a question for you. What's the one thing the John Wick franchise and this comedy, Good Fortune, have in common? I mean, you'd think the answer is absolutely nothing, right? One's a super violent action series, the other's a light-hearted comedy. But there is a surprising and pretty painful connection. Yup, that's it. A major Keanu Reeves injury. After all the insane stunts and fight scenes across 4 John Wick movies, his worst on-set injury happened while shooting this comedy. And listen to this. This is the story straight from Keanu himself. Just 2 weeks into filming, he tripped on a rug in his trailer and fractured his kneecap. He literally said it snapped like a potato chip. And of course, photos of him on set with crutches just blew up online, and that whole #GetWellSoonKeanu thing started trending everywhere. But in true Keanu fashion, he just powered through it. He filmed almost the entire movie while he was recovering from that fractured kneecap. They only had to delay a few scenes, like a salsa dancing sequence of all things, until he was healed up. And it wasn't just his resilience that was impressing everyone. His co-star Keke Palmer shared this really cool story about his acting process. She said that right before a take, she saw him off in a corner, just repeating a line to himself over and over again, trying it a different way each time. She said she was gagged just watching his whole unique preparation. All right, so with all that incredible talent and all that behind-the-scenes drama, how did the movie actually do in the end? Let's take a look at the numbers. Okay, so the film was made for about $30 million. And in today's market, that's a pretty modest mid-budget comedy. Unfortunately, though, it just didn't quite connect with audiences in theaters. It only grossed about $26 million worldwide, so that's considered a box office disappointment. But here's the twist in the story. Even though it struggled at the box office, critics were actually pretty positive about it. It got a 77% on Rotten Tomatoes and a generally favorable score on Metacritic. A lot of them really praised the cast's comedic timing and the movie's heart. And this brings us to a really important point, especially now. A short run in theaters is definitely not the end of the story anymore. So if all this has made you curious, the good news is you have a ton of ways to check it out for yourself.
The movie's release journey was really quick. I mean, it premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival in September. It was in theaters by October, and then it moved to home viewing really, really fast. It was on demand in less than 3 weeks and was already streaming by February.
So what that all means is that today, you've got a bunch of options. You can rent it or buy it on all the big digital places like Prime Video or Apple TV. You can get a physical copy, or you can stream it right now if you have a Star subscription.
And that's really the thing about good fortune. It's not just about the laughs. It leaves you thinking about this pretty big question. It takes this very real, very modern debate about money and happiness, wraps it up in this hilarious comedy, and basically asks us, what would you do if you suddenly swapped lives? So what do you think? Would a little good fortune solve all of your problems?